Good morning and welcome to All Souls Church. My name is Don Swanson and I'm this week's service assistant.
And I'm Reverend Joanna Lubkin, minister of All Souls Church.
A few etiquette things. We keep everyone on mute for the service except for our time of sharing joys and concerns.
If you're new to All Souls Church, please take a moment to click on the link in the order of service and in the chat for our connection card so that we can stay in touch.
It's up to you if you want to turn your camera on and be seen. We do record the service, though joys and concerns that are shared won't be in the final recording.
Please feel free to chat in the chat box or to ignore it.
During the service, please feel free to get up, move around, or take a break from the screen if you need to, but try to be as present as possible and imagine we're all in the same room together.
Finally, remember that when you're invited to sing or to pray, to share or to chat, how you participate or don't is up to you.
After church, we'll have some time to say hello in the breakout rooms.
Now, hear these words of welcome.
All who enter in a spirit of curiosity, love, and justice are welcome this morning.
Welcome to people who love God, people who don't believe in God, and people who live in the not knowing.
People who find a higher purpose deep inside, people who find it in relationship with one another, and people who find it in the interdependence of all existence.
And all the people in between.
Whoever you are, whatever your gifts or abilities may be, however you identify your gender or sexual orientation, wherever your life and faith journey has taken you, you're welcome here.
Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you understand the sacred, you bless us with your presence.
We light our flaming chalice with words from Reverend Scott Taylor. Let this dancing light be our guide. Let it lure us into letting go of the worries, of the stiffness that sets in after all the striving, of the myth that productivity alone gives us purpose. This garden of life we've been given is a playground. The weeding can wait. And we follow the All Souls tradition of lighting a green candle, symbolic of our commitment to being a green sanctuary congregation. May both these flames call us to kinship with and great care for the earth and her living creatures. As we center our hearts, let's sing our chalice song for June, Sing and Rejoice.
Sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice, let all things living, let all things rejoice, let all things living, sing and rejoice, let all things living, let all things rejoice, let all things living, sing and rejoice. Let all things living, let all things living now sing and rejoice.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Our theme for this month is, what does it mean to be a people of play? And so we're actually going to do a play on words and explore a different kind of play, the world of Broadway plays, specifically musical theater. As we enter into this service of music, hear these words from Renee Rahochki. Our first breath is followed by our first song, lusty, loud, and primal. A solo that announces to the world, I have arrived. We are the music. As toddlers, hearing our first reggae beat, we let our spines and hips bend and sway in response, as natural as the beat of our hearts. We are the music. The drone of the bass notes of the church organ, a vibration in our chest. Tense muscles relax. The breath deepens. We are the music. As we push the air from our bellies out through the chest and the throat, our changing expressions shape the sound. We are the music. As we sing together, voices blend to create a harmony, each voice enriched by its connection to the next. We are the music. Let's raise our voices now with our opening hymn, Now Let Us Sing. We'll be led by our choir, and this song has two parts. You can sing the words that appear just on the left side or the ones just on the right, or craft your own special blend and sing what you'd like. Let's sing now together.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the faith within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the faith
Sing.
within.
Lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice.
Be not afraid.
Be not afraid.
Now let us
Sing to the power of the faith within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the hope within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the hope within.
Lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice.
Be not afraid.
Be not afraid.
Now let us
Sing to the power of the hope within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the love within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the love within.
Lift up your voice. Be not afraid.
Be not afraid.
Now let us
Sing to the power of the love within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the joy within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the
Sing,
joy
sing,
within.
lift up your voice,
Lift up your voice.
be not afraid.
Be not afraid.
Now let us
Sing to the power of the joy within.
It's so good to hear our choir. I'm so glad that recording exists. As a spiritual community, we journey together through life's ups and downs, and we hold each other in love. We take this time to reflect on our week, to recall the milestones, the joys, the concerns, the sorrows, the changes in our lives, and those in need of healing. If you have a heartfelt milestone, joy, or sorrow that you'd like to share, you're invited to share aloud or in the chat. And if you'd like to share aloud, you can come off mute if you're on a computer by pressing the mute, unmute button on the lower left corner of your screen, or if you're on a telephone by pressing *6. Please share your name and briefly but fully express what's on your heart. If you're having trouble unmuting, give us a wave and we'll press a button that invites you to unmute. After each person shares, I'll drop a stone in water, symbolic of the water we gathered and blessed in this year's water ceremony. And please know that this section won't end up in the final recording. What's shared now is kept only here in real time. All are welcome to share now. For all of the sorrows, all of the joys that we hold in our, oh, sorry, Kelly, were you raising your hand? Did I miss you? Okay. For all of the sorrows and all of the joys that we hold in our hearts, I'll drop one final stone to remember and to rejoice. I invite us to center our hearts, lifting up these hopes, prayers, joys, and sorrows with a special treat. Our centering song today is Climb Every Mountain, brought to us by our very own Sal and Michael.
Climb every mountain.
That was delightful. Thank you, Michael and Sal. Thank you. I invite you to join me in a time of meditation and prayer. First in words, then in silence, and then in melody. Our words of meditation today are from Douglas Taylor. Eternal Spirit, from whom all things come and to whom all things return. We gather this morning in community, seeking to live in the harmony. Each of us here gathered lives out of our lives, knowing our own story, our own private melody. Life at its highest and its sweetest is a sharing. Life is a sharing of our melodies, of our love and interest, of our yearning and questions. We gather this morning as individuals, creating harmony in community together. May our different ways of knowing and naming the holy blend together. May our voices be added to the holy chorus of life. May we practice our scales that we may better improvise and recognize where we come in and when it is our time. The world is rife with discord and trouble. Injustice and suffering weigh us down and trip us up and stop our voices. May we learn to trust in love, in God, in our own voices, in the trembling faith of our forebears, to trust that we have a part in this symphony and we can join this chorus and bring some beauty to the cacophony around us. May there be times of gentle tones and soothing melodies. May there be rhythms upon which we can rely to rally our spirits at need. May there be teachers and bandmates, fans and good companions to help call our best music out of us. May there be moments when we are transported, moments when we discover we are not playing the music so much as the music is playing through us. The music is playing us. Oh, Spirit of life, may our song be among the songs of the Spirit. May there be beauty in our song and in our living. May there be meaning and power in our song. And may our individual voices blend into the chorus that is thee, O Spirit. This we ask in the name of all that is holy. May it be so. And let us be together in a shared sacred silence. Thank you, Don. My friends, the work of the church cannot be done without the contributions of the community that calls it home. Thank you, Rick, for the reminder. A link will be going in the chat in a moment. I invite you to give what you can, when you can, now or later, online or via a check mailed to the church. And if you've not yet completed your pledge for next year, I invite you to do so as well. The offering for the good work of this church will be gratefully received at this time. Thank you.
Think of me fondly when we've said goodbye. Remember me every so often. Promise me you'll try on that day, that not so distant day, when you are far away and free. If you ever find a moment, spare a thought for me. And though it's clear, though it was always clear, that this was never meant to be, if you happen to remember, stop and think of me. Think of August when the trees were green. Don't think about the way things might have been. Think of me waking silent and resigned. Imagine me trying so hard to put you from my mind. Think of me, please say you'll think of me, whatever else you choose to do. There will never be a day when I won't think of you. Can it be Christine? Long ago, it seems so long ago, how young and innocent we were. She may not remember me, but I remember. Flowers fade, the fruits of summer fade. They have their seasons, so do we. But please promise me that sometimes you will think.
Oh, Alicia, thank you. Oh, I'm so glad you went for it. Friends, our reading today is not so much a reading as lyrics of inspiration from the musical Dear Evan Hansen, You Will Be Found.
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear? Well, let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand. And oh, someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found.
There's a place where we don't have to feel unknown. And every time that you call out, you're a little less alone.
If you only say the word,
From across
the silence, your voice is heard. Oh, someone will come running. Oh, to take you home. You will be found.
The house lights go down. The spotlight illuminates the red velvet curtains, and in anticipation, a hush falls across the crowd. The orchestra strikes up an overture and the curtains open. And suddenly, the show begins. Or maybe you're sitting alone in your room or in the car on a long family trip and you put on the soundtrack to a Broadway show. Start to finish, or maybe skipping the songs that you can't stand. You're singing along at the top of your voice, whether it's in key or not. And it's playful, or it's visceral, or it's inspiring. And through its story, you're connected with something larger. For many of us, musical theater is magic. We are transported and enveloped in another world. Audiences and performers both agree to suspend our disbelief, to live for a few hours in a universe where people break out into song and are joined by a cadre of backup dancers, and where you can pour your whole heart out into a song and be understood. And part of what makes live theater even more magical is the shared experience of being wrapped up in the story together. I miss that so much. Researchers at the University College of London have actually found that when a group of people are at a live theater performance together, their heartbeats synchronize with each other and with the emotional arc of the story. There are just so many life lessons and spiritual teachings to be found in musicals. Now, whether or not show tunes are one of your go-to musical genres, I invite you to hear the messages that you need to hear today. Here are 5 out of an infinite number of lessons offered to us from the sacred texts of musical theater. Lesson 1, no one is alone. Or, if I were to sing the line from Into the Woods, no one's here to guide you, now you're on your own. Only me beside you, still you're not alone. No one is alone, truly no one is alone. Picture it. One of the lead actors starts a song telling their story. Evan Hansen takes center stage alone and sings, "Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere?" And you're just right there with him in his vulnerability. But then a second voice joins in with their own message. There's a place where we don't have to feel alone. And every time that you call out, you're a little less alone. And then by the bridge in the last chorus, the whole cast is singing at the top of their lungs, "You will be found." This is one of my favorite metaphors from musical theater. And I don't know if there's a technical term for it. I asked a ton of musicians on my Facebook page. We couldn't come up with one. But it's that structure of one lone voice being joined by a companion, and then maybe a trio, and then the whole ensemble. At its best, this is what we hope for in community. What we hope for in this Unitarian Universalist congregation. We hope to create spaces where each of us can show up, vulnerably share our own truth, and have a whole cast of characters join in with us. Sometimes they'll be singing in the unison of like-mindedness, and that is so powerful. And sometimes they'll be singing a harmony or a counter melody that adds richness to our own. Musical theater is not a solo act, and neither is community. Lesson 2. People come into our lives for a reason. Or, if I were to sing the line from Wicked, and I hope I'll see some of you singing along as we do this, I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Thank you to those of you I saw. Thank you, Alicia. There we go. I actually first learned of this concept as a teaching from Jewish mysticism. The idea that our souls choose this particular life, this particular time in history, our friends and adversaries, to help us learn what we need to learn. I don't know if I believe that on a cosmic scale, but I do believe that we can learn from everyone around us. When we're inspired by someone we meet, we have the chance to nurture those traits in ourselves. Say we meet someone whose generosity inspires us, and it helps us to become more generous too. They've shown us a way to be in the world, in community, or in relationship that we can cultivate in ourselves. And when we're annoyed by someone we meet, as was in the case of Glinda and Elphaba in Wicked, we have the opportunity to grow ourselves. As the Dalai Lama says, if you can cultivate the right attitude, your enemies are your best spiritual teachers, because their presence provides you with the opportunity to enhance and develop tolerance, patience, and understanding. Lesson 3, you've got to be carefully taught. Or, if I were going to sing the line from South Pacific, you've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. The late South African leader, Nelson Mandela, taught us, no one is born hating another person because of the color of their skin or their background or their religion. People must learn how to hate, he said. And if they learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. As we focused on the theme of stories last month at All Souls, we came back a few times to the reminder that pretty much all of us were brought up in a society of systemic racism. Even if we as individuals are out there in the world doing our best to be loving and kind to everyone, and I know most of us are, we've still had a lifetime of absorbing messages that center and privilege white, Christian, straight, cisgendered identities. Our faith's commitment to building a just, equitable, and inclusive world calls us to unlearn so much that society has taught us and to live courageously into new ways. Mandela is right. Love does come more naturally to our heart, and that gives me hope. Because we're building these new ways all of the time. And to add in another Into the Woods quote, children will listen. Children will see and learn. The work that we do to unlearn oppression is noticed and needed by the generations coming up. When we bump up against our own discomfort or despair as part of our work to dismantle systems of oppression, let us remember that every one of our actions can create a deeper liberation for those who come after us. Lesson 4, follow every byway toward your dream, even when it feels impossible. Okay, this one mashes up 2 songs, so I can't really sing it, but you get the idea. I can't even begin to count the number of musicals whose plot involves going after a far-fetched dream and succeeding, at least in some fashion, by the end. Fundamentally, I believe that we each have gifts that the world needs, and that our dreams are a part of the story of the world. Any dream will do. Now, this isn't precisely a musical theater example, but when it comes to dreams, I always think about Jim Henson, the founder of the Muppets. There's a story that one day, Jim gathered a bunch of creative types into a conference room, and he said, "Let's think of an idea that would bring peace to the world in our lifetimes." And of course, he knew that TV shows don't so much bring peace to the whole world. He and his colleagues weren't so cynical as to say that we can't think about it. The result of that conversation was the TV show Fraggle Rock, which, okay, while it didn't bring about world peace, did teach values of being good neighbors, celebrating diversity, and curiosity. The world is better for this, and the world will be better for each of us moving toward our dreams. And finally, lesson 5. Measure in love. Or, if I were to sing the line from Rent, how do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter, in strife, in 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year in the life? How about love? Measure in love. I mean, this one just gets right to the heart of things, doesn't it? As we look back over this just over a year of pandemic time, this is the lens that I hope we use. Even as many of us are itching to return to familiar rhythms, to reconnect with people that we've missed, to gather again as a community, let's lift up and honor all of the ways that we expressed and received love throughout this time. How has love shown up in your life during this pandemic? Beloveds, stay open to the magic of being transported into a story, of being transfixed as our hearts beat in time together. May this be a place where you don't have to feel alone. Truly, no one is alone. People come into our lives for a reason, bringing something that we must learn. We are led to those who help us most to grow, if we let them, and we help them in return. You've got to be carefully taught. Children will listen. Let us measure our lives in love. So may it be, and amen. Our closing song today is The Impossible Dream from that famous musical about Don Quixote, Man of La Mancha. I invite you to join in singing. And as usual, the sheet music for all of our music is in our order of service. I'll paste the link again in our chat.
To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave do not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to that glorious quest, my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star.
Oh, thank you, everybody. Our closing words are from Israel Bafardi. My friends, when you go from here, know that our hearts are always in a holy place, for we are always connected to one another. Know that deep down our hearts beat in one universal rhythm. May we each find the sacred space to hear it. So may it be, and amen. Our postlude today is from our own Judy Cobble, playing a Gershwin tune for us from the musical called Girl Crazy, and with a fun video crafted by our own Jacob Clapper. So I invite you to enjoy I Got Rhythm.
I got rhythm.
Thank you all for being playful and fun together today. We have a few announcements coming up, but first let me just thank those who brought this service together. And it was an extra large number of people today. So as usual, thank you to Alicia for our text support and for singing, Jacob for the music production, video production, and for being willing to go with the theme, to Don and Rick for being our service assistants today, Mary for being our usher, Michael and Sal for the music, and Judy for the piano. It was just so sweet to be together and celebrate in this way. So a few invitations for things coming up. We're nearing the end of our church year, but we are still abundant of opportunity to stay connected. So here's a few highlights coming up. First and foremost, today at 11:45, we'll have a little bit of a break, but at 11:45, we'll have our annual meeting. So those of you who are members and friends of All Souls, we encourage you to stick around. You can get up, get some coffee, and come back to the computer at 11:45 for that. That'll be involved talking about who's our leadership structure for next year, what's our budget, going over annual reports, and presenting a draft of our covenant for us to look at. So please do plan to stick around. This week on Monday and Friday, we have our connection circles. Tuesday evening, the Social Action and Environmental Committee is meeting, so I encourage you to reach out to George Goss if you're interested in that. And then on Saturday, the 12th at 2 p.m., at the church, in person, please wear masks, the Development and Engagement Committee will be meeting at church. The next Sunday, this is one of those ones where like, oh man, they're creating something great on my Sunday off. I wish I could like be in multiple places at once, but the Sunday Service and Music Committee is doing a lay-led service in celebration of Pride that I think is going to be just fabulous. So please plan on coming to that. And then we start to wrap up the church year. So the 19th from 10 to 11 a.m., we'll have our outdoor flower exchange at church, followed by Flower Sunday, where we're on Zoom together doing our flower ceremony. And then the following Sunday, the 27th, I know we're getting several weeks out, but I want you to know that'll be our first in the parish hall and on Zoom multi-platform service. We'll be streaming the General Assembly service live into our parish hall and on Zoom on the 27th at our 10:30 a.m. start time. So lots to look forward to. And if you're interested in helping to plan or co-plan a summer service, which is really more like a summer discussion or however you want to structure it, please talk to Joe or Mary. I think that is everything unless I have missed something. Joe, yes, what did I miss? Please tell me.
Just to mention that the Sunday Service and Music Committee meeting is scheduled to meet on Thursday evening of this week.
Yes, thank you.
10th.
Both
Right,
got
yeah.
that right there in the.
Yeah, and Mary's putting it in the chat. Yeah.
It just wasn't on the website, so let's make sure that gets on the website as well. So thank you. It's on my calendar. I'll see y'all there. So if you're interested, if you're always kind of like, I'm kind of curious about how we pull these services together, or I have some thoughts on what we might do in the fall when we're back in the sanctuary and on Zoom, you're most welcome to come to that. So we have a little intermission treat for you. There was one more song that we wanted to throw into the service that didn't fit. So we're going to play it, but you can take between now and 11:45 to hang out at your computer and chat with other folks, to enjoy this intermission music, or to get up, get some more water. I'm going to move into an air-conditioned room. Thank you all for being with us today. Thank you for those of you who are joining as a guest to just get to see some extra Broadway in your week. It's great to have you. Be well.
You've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are oddly made, and people whose skin is a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. Careful the things you say, children will listen. Careful the things you do, children will see and learn. Children may not obey, but children will listen. Children will look to you for which way to turn, to learn what to be. Careful before you say, listen to me. Children will listen. How do you say to your child in the night, nothing's all black, but then nothing's all white? How do you say it will all be all right when you know that it mightn't be true? What do you do? Careful the wish you make. Wishes are children. Careful the path they take. Wishes come true. Not free. Careful the spell you cast, not just on children. Sometimes the spell may last past what you can see and turn against you. Careful the tale you tell, that is the spell. Children